Hello, and welcome to the ECS Expense Claim System tutorial. This short tutorial will detail how to use the expense system to electronically submit claims for travel and other business-related expenses that you incur that need to be reimbursed. Be sure to enable closed captions if needed, and additionally, a transcript of the video is available as well. From the University of Guelph Finance website, a link to the ECS system is found on the right-hand side. The ECS system supports the use of Firefox and Google Chrome. Internet Explorer is not supported, and therefore issues can occur when using it. Click here to sign on to Central Logon account and use the system. Just fill in the fields with your username and password. Once signed on, you'll be shown the home screen for the ECS system, which provides an overview of helpful updates, links, and support contacts. When using ECS, be sure to utilize the Return Cancel button in the top right corner of the page in order to go back when editing a claim, rather than using your browser's back button. If you find you are having issues with the system, make sure to try clearing your cookies and cache and trying again. When you want to create a new claim, navigate to the Claims tab seen in the navigation bar in the top of the screen. This will show a drop-down menu. Select Claims and go to the Claim Summary page. On this screen, you are shown a summary of all your previous claims, in progress or submitted, and can edit them using the Edit Claim button. To create a new claim, select Add New Expense Claim in the top right. You will be brought to a page for general information to be input before starting the claim. Make sure to review the Travel and Business Claim Checklist available on the University of Guelph Finance website before you enter the claim. You can also find it by clicking on the ECS checklist link available here. Complete the fields highlighted in blue. If you are unclear as to what should be put into a field, click on the question mark icon for a description. For example, beside contact, it says, if the claim is being completed by someone other than the claimant, enter the contact name and contact phone number. Questions will be directed to the person identified. You can enter the destination, the purpose of the trip, and any other special notes related to the claim. Please note, you can click the Save Claim button anytime to save what you have done and go back to it later. When filling in the date, be sure to follow the proper format as shown in the reminder text, day, month, year, with the month being represented by its three-letter short form. For example, February 1st, 2019 would be 01-FEB-2019. You can also select the date from the calendar icon. If claiming a single expense or receipt, the start and end date would be the exact same. If claiming multiple expenses, the start date would be the earliest receipt date and the end date would be the latest receipt date. If you have an advance available, you will see it in the drop-down menu beside Advances. This is what the screen would look like with advances available. Select the applicable advance from the drop-down menu to apply. Once all of the fields have been filled out, click Save. Once it saves successfully, you will then be able to enter your expenses. Note, if you are filling out a Tri-Council claim, be sure to toggle the Tri-Council option to Yes and fill out the corresponding Tri-Council input fields. If claimant is not the grant leader, select No. And you will need to fill in the affiliation with the tri-agency grant. Once the previous steps have been completed, you are ready to enter your expense receipts in the Expense Input section. Each receipt is entered separately and numbered accordingly. For each receipt line, enter the entry number, the receipt date, a short description describing the expense, and select the expense category from the drop-down menu. Enter the location tax. The location tax field notes where the expense was incurred. Selecting the correct location tax for airfare can be more complicated, however. Click on the blue highlighted location tax text to view the guide for airfare tax. Then enter the dollar amount. If it's in Canadian dollars, use the Canadian amount column. If the purchase was not made in Canadian dollars, fill in the amount paid in the foreign amount column, the currency it was paid in, and then find the exchange rate using the OANDA website. Just click on the blue highlighted text here. And then from here, go to Currency Converter, Tools, Historical Currency Converters, select Interbank plus or minus 3%, the typical credit card rate. Select the date range where your expenses were made. Currency, USD in this example, to Canadian. And then switch it to the table. And choose the period average. Make sure to also change the price from bid to ask. You can add more rows by clicking the Add Row button here, and you can delete rows by clicking on the trash can icon. Saving your work also calculates the Canadian dollar equivalent value if you have a foreign exchange rate. Mileage expenses do not have receipts. So when entering mileage, just put in the fields as normal. Enter the expense category as auto kilometers and fill in the amount of kilometers traveled. This will automatically fill in the amount based on current values. If you previously claimed an expense, then you must utilize the previous paid reference and previous paid columns. Entering previously paid expenses ensures that the total trip expense amount on the front page of the hard copy is accurate for the signing authority. It is also a Tri-Council requirement. Enter the paid receipts in the same way as before, except enter the applicable claim or reference number in previous paid reference. And change previous paid to yes. The previous paid reference number is located on the first page of the printed claim form, or you can check your history of claims on the claims page. This is the reference number they are looking for. Note that the receipt date entered needs to be within the scope of the dates from and to in the claim header. You may need to change those dates to cover previous paid receipts. And additionally, expenses entered as previous paid do not require coding. Once you have entered your expense receipts, the next step is to enter the coding. Below the expense input is the coding input section. Fill in these fields with the correct information to properly match your expenses. Enter the applicable coding in fund, unit, grant, and project fields. Please contact your department for this information if necessary. Depending on the expense category selected in the earlier steps, an amount will appear in the applicable column. Enter the amount shown in total claimed in the first row of the column and click Save. So as you can see, we entered a hospitality amount, and now it says that it's incomplete because the difference between the coded and the claimed is $101.52. So you select the object code from the drop-down menu, and then enter the amount. You can then save, and you can see that now that the coding matches the total claimed, the status has updated to complete. Pay attention to the coding status symbol. If a red X is displayed underneath the status, then the coding is invalid and requires correction. If necessary, contact your department for correct coding information. And again, the blue coding headings contain helpful information. You can click on airfare, meals, hospitality, or other object codes to bring you to the pages that associate with those columns. Remember to enter the coding for each location tax separately. This section is for Ontario expenses, this one is for within Canada but not Ontario, and the last section is for coding outside of Canada entirely. Remember, only 60 lines total can be input per claim, and that includes these coding lines. Once you have saved everything, you are ready to validate and submit the claim. Scroll back up to the top where you entered the general information and select Validate/Submit. If there are any issues with your expense claim, an error message will pop up to let you know what needs to be fixed. If there are no errors, the submission will be changed to Submitted, and the submitted date will be shown here. You'll also see a helpful pop-up message. Once the claim is successfully validated, select the yellow PDF Expense Claim Report button to download the copy of the form. The final step is to submit the claim. Print, sign, and date the form. If the form has an unvalidated watermark across it, the claim has not been successfully validated. Submit both pages with the original receipt number, and where possible, print two-sided and ensure that the coding page is formatted correctly to landscape, ensuring all coding is visible. Receipts must be numbered according to the applicable claim form entry and attached in order to the hard copy. Please tape receipts to the letter size paper to prevent them from being lost or separated and for scanning purposes. Reminder, electronic signatures will not be accepted, and remember to keep a hard copy of your submission and receipts. Signed and authorized expense claims with all receipts attached are delivered or mailed to Payment Services on the 5th floor of the UC, then date stamped and verified in order. Once complete, claims are processed. If there are issues or missing documentation, you will be contacted via email. EFT payments runs are on Tuesday and Friday each week. Checks are processed on Monday and mailed to the claimant home department on Wednesday. Where possible, all checks will be switched over to EFT. You can monitor the status of claims and payments at any time by logging into your ECS account. Please do not contact ECS for this information unless it has been 7 to 10 business days since the claim was received in ECS and no email communication has been received regarding issues. There are some additional forms available that can be used when submitting an expense claim. These include the missing receipt form, the advance form, and the meal log. All of these are found on the finance website and are accessible through this link on the front page here. Click on this link to be brought to the financial services page, and you can find these forms under Travel and Expense Claims forms. In rare cases where a duplicate or missing receipt cannot be obtained from the vendor, you can utilize the missing receipt form. Be sure to contact the vendor first to try and obtain a copy of the receipt before utilizing this form. You must include the following information: transaction date, vendor info, purchase detail, and price breakdown, claimant signature and authorizing signature from the department, proof of payment, for example, the credit slip from the purchase or a bank statement with this transaction highlighted, and for dining expenses, a declaration that no alcohol was included if the coding does not permit. This is the advance form. It's available on the ECS website and must be downloaded prior to completing. The advance form requires 5 to 7 business days for processing, and the advance request requires a claimant signature, departmental approval, and signature of the dean for requests $2,000 or more. The claim to clear the advance must be received in ECS within 30 days from the date of the termination date on the form. Airfare and accommodation expense should not be included on an advance. Airfare should be direct billed, and accommodation, if paid up front, submitted on an expense claim. The advance total cannot include any items already paid. These must be submitted on an expense claim. You can use a meal log to simplify the claim when there are many meals to claim. Enter each receipt on the log, ensuring each field is completed, and enter the receipt total in the correct location tax: Ontario, other province, or outside Canada. Enter the total for each location Ontario, other province, or outside Canada, as a separate line on the expense claim form. And then attach all your receipts in order to the meal log and include them with the expense claim hard copy. This form is found on the ECS website. You have now completed your expense claim. Be sure to log into the system when you're finished using the button in the top right corner.